Holla ballers! I'm a werewolf man, and I didn't even know you could do that. What the hell, dude? What is this game? It's the biggest description I've had all the way through the first 3 days of playing Skyrim is like, they kind of built this RPG, right? But it was basically just a framework for people just to bolt stuff onto it. And it turns out a lot of the stuff that has grabbed me intensely is actually player-made, which is really interesting. And it's also... it's interesting that they then started to try and charge people for this functionality that the game was permanently based on. It's got so much going for it. I talked yesterday about the ghost thing at the farm that I did. But there was a very noticeable shift in the game design. Do you remember, you might, if you haven't seen since day one, right? In day one, I talked about Bethesda's not very good at telling stories. And I still stand by that because I was doing some of the stories in the game yesterday where I was planning to do the main story, the overall story, but I got grabbed by the companion storyline because I was near an area. I went in and I had the guy with me. I think he's called Falkirk or something. And I got stuck in a cage. I was like, oh, something like cinematic is happening. And then he turned into a werewolf and went on this rampage. I was like, what is happening now? What the hell? I got totally grabbed by it. And then I was like, well, I'm going to do this storyline now, because this is way more interesting than being the Dragon Ball or whatever, right? So I was like, I'm going to do this story. I'm going to focus entirely on this story and like play this out till the end. And it was really cool. I got to drink dragon's blood. Not dragon's blood. I got to drink werewolf blood and then become a werewolf and gain a new power where I can be a werewolf and I can eat people and I can chomp down on them. And it was really cool. So I was following through with that story. And then it took me, as it always does in Skyrim, to like the other end of the planet in order to do stuff. And so off I went. And on the way, I just bumped into just crazy stuff. Like absolutely crazy stuff that was really interesting. And while I was doing it, I was doing like side dungeons and things like that. I have this feeling, and it's one of the reasons that I do a lot of consulting and things like that, is there is a feel that you get even without having prior knowledge. And it's something I picked up a lot through my years in World of Warcraft, is that you could just feel something's different in the game. Like this, it's a jigsaw piece that doesn't fit for some reason. And that's not a bad thing. It's like, this is just better than other stuff. Like the positioning, the pacing, the way it's being told, the environment that's been created, all of that kind of stuff just feels a little off. And I brought it up. I went, this is really good, but it doesn't fit everything else I've done with the actual game. And I'm like, this is odd. And then that's when people were like, yeah, this was actually created by a player who introduced this, and it was so popular that it was added to the game. I was like, yeah, these are the people you should be bringing in, right? And I keep going back to Starfield and how disappointed I was in Starfield. For context, for those of you who probably love Starfield, all power to you. I lasted about 5 hours in Starfield, or maybe slightly longer, maybe 8. And I was like, I'm done with this game. Like, just having side content for the sake of it is just not my cup of tea in an RPG. Like, it's not like, oh, we have side content, but it doesn't do anything. It's just there for the sake of having it. These are the kind of people that you're seeing here who are creating this content. It's like, you should absolutely be bringing them in, because the whole vibe of what they've created is just another level from what you've done. And it's noticeable to the player. Like, this doesn't fit. This is significantly different, and it's the same difference I had from New Vegas from Obsidian from the base game of Fallout 3. I was like, Fallout 3 was kind of a disappointment to me because all the bits and pieces were there, but it wasn't like, this is amazing or incredible. And then when we did New Vegas, it's like, oh my god, this is so much better. It's such a richer, more interesting world that I'm a part of. If you give me this environment of a post-apocalyptic society, is like, what kind of things, and the vault system, like the premise is great that Bethesda created, like these vaults with all sorts of weird things going on. What is the creative side of that you can then just go, oh, imagine if this happened, imagine if this happened, imagine if this happened, this would maybe happen. We got radiation going on, and we got this going on, and people are tinkering and doing all sorts of crazy things. What kind of gangs would come up? Like this creative freedom just from the seed of the environment. And it never quite lands for me so far with like the Bethesda stuff, the base Bethesda stuff, all the way up till Starfield. But you can see that the wider audience, and I kind of wonder as well, this is a bit of an ethereal question, and some people have very different answers. So I always talk to you to express my thoughts, to also prompt you to think a little bit as well, because I don't have the answer, is whether Bethesda has skated by a little bit by being able to create these unfinished canvases, is how I would describe it, and then making more focus onto tools to allow their players to paint on that canvas and flesh it out into what Skyrim became, which is, you know, a game that's been re-released so many times and people keep buying it because they love it. And it's really obvious to me why that's happening, because you get that sense, that feeling. So that was a really interesting revelation yesterday. Like, super interesting revelation. Is like, I can just tell, I can feel the difference between Bethesda and player-made creativity and the talent that's gone into that to create this much better environment in the same world. Like, it's still based on the same foundations, but it's just a better building, right? It's the difference between a skyscraper and a one-story bungalow, for example. So that was really fun, and I did this all day. I didn't touch the main story. I was fully intending to, but I didn't touch anything. We did have some fun things happen on the stream. Now, mods are working. The mods are working, so you'll see some blood and gore happening. I did get Sky UI, which is definitely better. And I can also I can keep my mouse within the screen, which is fantastic. One of them was a little goal to have Rufus. I got rid of the dog eventually, which was great. I didn't kill the dog. I actually just made the dog stay with the Daedric Lord or whatever he is, the god. I did not take the axe that was given to me, which may end up being Biss in some way, but ultimately it didn't matter. I wanted the dog to live. I don't want to kill the dog. I just don't want the dog near me. So the dog is now a statue forever. As I bumped into... two things happened which I think are worth talking about today. And one of them is based on what I just spoke about. And it was the Umbra situation. Umbra was something I stumbled into underground. And there was a ghost. And the quest popped up like, discover the mystery of the ghost. I'm like, all right. This led to one of the better boss fights. Also highlighted why the combat doesn't need to be anything special because of the way the combat works in the game. But the Umbra had the Umbra fight and the Umbra setup had so many interesting mechanics that it felt different and interesting. And I was like, this is odd. And really played into creating a spectacle of a difficult, scary environment. If you've never done Umbra, it's a really fun environment that you can go into where you discover all these mysteries and then you end up with this sort of major boss battle towards the end of it. And it was fantastic. It was very hard. Like, Umbra could, like, 3-shot me. And this is where it, like, highlights why you need companions and things, because basically the enemies either shoot you with magic or they melee you, and they're fast. So you can block and stuff like that and get into that kind of combat for sure, but ultimately it's probably ideal to have either be overpowered, overleveled, or like full defensives, or just have some of your allies able to just take aggro for a second while you heal up and get things done. It's also why there's instant healing in the game. They definitely knew their boundaries with the combat. Totally makes sense. But what a great fight. It had mechanics like kill the ghost. I recognized it was a gimmick fight immediately. I was like, okay, he doesn't take damage, so there's something else. So I started looking for levers and things like Baldur's Gate style. Like, is there some sort of like soul thing that's protecting him? And then he summoned ghosts. So I was like, okay, I wonder if we kill the ghost, is he then vulnerable? He is. Then we could go back and forth. I have to drop away to heal. Doing all these kind of things. I had a wonderful time with that and got an incredibly good set of armor. I think it's like full ebony armor, something along those lines. Some sort of dark armor. Definite upgrade to what I had, so I stuck some basic enchants on that with the tools I had. That was cool, so I've got a very strong character right now. I got myself a nice shiny new weapon, which was really good, called Umbra. It's a big sword that like chops people into pieces and drains their soul, so it's very much like Shadowmourne from World of Warcraft. It even has the same sort of effects. If you've ever played World of Warcraft, you'll recognize it. So I had all that. That was great. And then I bumped into a city. I think it's called Falkreath. My God. My God. This city, I've only explored maybe half of it so far. But what a dense, interesting place that is full of life and story, and the people are more interconnected. It made Whiterun look like it was made by a toddler as to how much more interesting and vivid this place was. It was so good, and I cannot wait to jump into it today and explore the rest of what's going on here. It started with a very edgy guy. I think he was called, like, Mortis or something. Or Maul. Might be called Maul.
who talks like this and gives you don't want to mess with the Thieves Guild or the Blackbriars.
Which was a little ridiculous. But then it extended into all sorts of crazy things where the Jarl is like under the thumb of this lady, and we got to find out what's going on with them, and some guys try and manipulate the trade market, so you try and sort that out, and there's debts owed amongst the people there, and there's bouncers, and there's enforcers, and all this. I was like, wow, what a cool... I could see there's like 5 hours of content just in the city, just messing around. Whereas often I turn up to a city and they go, there's a dragon nearby, go kill dragon. Good. Thank you for killing, like very basic, okay, like just a couple, like almost like a mission board. Just like click your missions and go and do them, and occasionally you'll get a fun one. This place was dense and interesting and really fun. I was messing around with that, although I think I've screwed it up somehow. The Thieves Guild apparently lives in the Ratways in the underground. I explored the hell out of it, didn't find anything. But my crowning achievement of yesterday, I think, I have done a very good job of quelling my natural instincts to kill people in video games that I don't like, and just remove them from the picture. I haven't done that at all in Skyrim up until now. As I was drinking in this wonderful, wonderful world, I saw the orphanage. I was like, oh, the orphanage, which had been brought up by a couple of other people. As I walked in, this lady was just berating and hating on these orphans. She was like, you guys are trash. No one will ever adopt you. You suck. You're just the worthless people. Just scrub the floors. That's all you're good for. You're slime. You're anything. I just drew my sword and cut her head off right there. And I was like, I had to quick save as I did, because I was like, this might completely screw up the game to do this. Like, the entire city might just lock me down, and I like this city. I don't want that to happen. But she deserves to die. But just in case it completely bricks my situation. To my delight, the orphans cheered. They were like, yay, she's dead. I can't believe it. This is awesome. This is so good. It's amazing what you can do if you just kill somebody and get rid of them. I was like, oh, I'm a hero now. I did a good thing. Or maybe not, because I seem to have taught these children that if you don't like someone, just cut their heads off, and the kids seem to fully embrace that with their dialogue. But either way, I don't regret what I did. I loved how the animation, as I drew my sword and hit her, just went into full, like, VATS mode and just decapitated her right in front of the children as her blood sprayed from her neck all over the floor. And the kids just danced in this fountain of gore and viscera spewing its way out. And I was like, I'm a good guy. Behold me. What a wonderful human I am to do this. As the kids did this, like, merry-go-round. Yay! I felt good about it, though. I was like, oh, all right. We're just going to carry on like this, then. Cool. This is awesome. And then just sheathed my sword and left the kids to enjoy the spoils that I left for them. I didn't even loot the place. I was like, what's the point? This is the kids now. They can enjoy it. They're the orphans. They can have all these riches or whatever lies within the orphanage, whatever secrets we hold there. I imagine there's a whole storyline involving this lady because she was so vile. But that's my story, and I'm okay with it. So today, I think my next plan with this game is to... I'm just going to do Falkreath. I'm going to do the companion stuff. That's going to be really interesting for me. So I'm definitely going to mess around with that and see what happens. And if we lead back towards the main story, sure. But again, similar to the Imperials and the Stormcloaks, I don't really care other than just enjoying being in the world. I found like a dwarven place which is locked off. I want to know what's going on there. All sorts of mysteries to unfold. So that is where I am right now. And I definitely see at this point what the addiction is with Skyrim. Is like you can just go and do whatever and have fun with it. Also, we had to mod in a fat, ginger, useless kid who falls around because the audience demanded it. So that's the new dog. And he's less annoying than the dog. So thumbs up to Rufus, the fat, annoying kid, if you see him in the background. All right, I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.